this series, we spoke about five areas in which we can build a few micro habits, problem solving skills. So you will be recognized as a good problem solver at your workplace, or maybe in your studies, or you will enhance problem solving in your own personal life, your mind, which is by becoming intellectually sharp. Now, intellectual. Hello again. This series is all about introducing micro habits that cultivate success in Canada. So I wish to cover micro habits in five areas, starting with physical fitness, intellectual sharpness, mental alertness, emotionally well balancing, and spiritual elevation. So let's jump onto each of these habits and see how they can help us become successful in Canada. When I came into Canada, so in the initial days I felt that I had a decreased energy level, I had reduced concentration, I have also a slight increase in my health issues, and I was feeling more stress, and there were more mood swings for ideally for no reason, and I was feeling some low power self-esteem. And you may also have felt these things as you come into a new place because of several reasons. And I strongly believe that these are the reasons of being physically inactive in a new environment. And believe me, this physical inactiveness might be a biggest workplace performance setbacks, so which might impact your performance at workplace, and that might lead to a bigger problems, because you may be feeling more stressful because you are not performing to the level that you were already performing back home, or you may not be performing to a level where you anticipate to perform. So that you don't want to get there. So one of the reasons that I personally felt when I came into this new place is the physical inactivity. So there could be several reasons for being physically inactive because of the weather. It depends on at what season do we all land in Canada, right? So summers are really bright, they're really hot, so you can always step out, have a quick walk in a park close by, or you can have a walk on the street. And, but as the time progresses, as you get into fall, the cold winds keep coming in, and then you may not be equally motivated to go out on a walk like you do in summers. And then as the winter progresses, then the climate is totally unpleasant. Most of the times it might snow, or it is too windy, cold waves, and you don't want to feel like getting out if you are not an winter lover, right? So these are also some reasons why we don't feel to have a physical activity. So when I say physical activity, I don't mean to join a gym membership and do a heavy weight lifting and then build your body. If you're interested in doing that, yeah, there are a lot of opportunities for you to encourage in keeping yourself fit. But otherwise, what I did is I found my own way of finding an indoor walking track, which is not, obviously it is not close to my home, but I need to drive for about 5 minutes. And these memberships come at a very small rate of, I pay about $12 a year, which is like $1 a month, to use a walking track, which is about ideally 1.5 to 2 kilometers, and then you can have as many number of laps that you want to do. And because it is indoor, so the weather should not be a reason for you not to step out and have these physical walks. So so for all of us to increase our energy levels, or increase our concentration, and then also deal with any small health issues that you might face because you are in a new environment, completely new climate. So weather can also be a reason why you are falling sick in a new environment, and which might cause a little bit of stress and mood swings because of all of these reasons. And how do you increase your self-esteem is by empowering your day, by including some fitness micro habits. So when I say this fitness micro habits, I'm not talking about something that are complicated. These are very easy ones that every one of us can do, including something like yoga or breathing exercises to start your day with, that brings more energy. I would recommend is this. The first one is scheduled walks. So you make sure that you are scheduling some time, if possible, preferably at the same time of every day. But I know it can be hard for all of us to maintain that exact schedule. But what I personally do is I make sure that I take brief walks, even during the work, or in the last 2 years I've been working from home. So you might ask, how am I managing these brief walks in other climatic conditions? What I personally do is that I make sure that I walk down the stairs, because I work on the upper level of my house. So I walk down the stairs at least 10-15 times for several reasons: once for water, once for coffee, once for lunch, or once for just like that, to take a break from my work, because my concentration level is not more than 90 minutes. So after working for 90 minutes uh, continuously, then when I feel I like to have a break, I just go walk down the stairs, and then and other times I just keep walking at home. So which means that although if I'm not doing at the same time, I'm making sure that every day I'm walking at least few steps inside the house. Or sometimes, like I said, when the time permits, I go to the indoor walking track to complete more number of steps for that day. If now summer is coming, so it is even more encouraging for me to go out and take a brief walk in a local park which is right next to my house, or take a walk on the street, and observe what's happening around the neighborhood. The scheduled daily walks is something that will boost your energy and mood, uh, like it did in my in my case. And the second one is a regular standing. So one good thing that I have saw, and which might be pretty common everywhere these days, is when I started working in 2003, because I work on, most of the times we work on computers. IT is the biggest industry everywhere now. Most of the time we were only sitting, right? So that's where my second suggestion comes, is regular standing. The biggest difference that I saw when I came into Canada, I'm talking about my first job when I started in 2018, that that environment, or that work environment, has ergonomically friendly desks, where these days we're calling them as standing desks. That means you don't have to work all through the day only by sitting in front of the computer. You can also work with your computer, raising your desk to a level that is comfortable for you, stand and work. So that is one way of promoting well-being at workplace. And but, but not all companies may be able to afford that infrastructure, because standing desks are really costly. And that's the reason why I don't have one at my home personally. So because I don't have that at home personally, I make sure that I take a regular stand. I do a regular standing when I'm not in meetings where I have to maintain my level with the camera. And if something that is permissible for me to work by standing, I make sure that I ensure that I regularly stand up, instead of uh, spending more time sitting in front of the computer. And they also, so there is a 20-20-20 rule, where, because you are seeing your monitor too often and for more time, you may have a problem with your eyes eventually. So what they say is, use 20-second rule to see something which is 20 feet, or little away, as much as 20 inches or 20 feet, or whatever you can. Focus on an object that is far away from your computer for 20 seconds, and then you can bring back your eyes, so which will refresh the eyes. And when I had this problem, so my eyes were drying too often because of too much of screen use. You see computer at home, then you tend to see some Netflix or Amazon Prime during the night, because you want some kind of entertainment. So unknowingly, we are seeing a lot of screen. We are spending a lot of time in front of the screen. So uh, personally, I had a problem that my eyes were drying up too fast. So I had to use some eye drops. So my doctor told me to do more blinks of my eyes, and then make sure that my eyes are hydrated. So that's the reason why you'll have to be watchful about what's happening. One of the primary reasons is not just looking at the screen, but it also because you stay in a dry environment, because in winters we always ensure that our house is heated up. So there is a lot of heat air coming in from your vents, from your heating system. So the same thing happens when you're traveling. Your bus is heated up, your train is heated up, your car is heated up, and when you go to your office environment is heated up, because that is needed for people to have that kind of environment to beat the cold outside. So this might, in some body, every body is different. So in some bodies might get dry up fast, so they might need more hydration. And in my case, I needed a little hydration for my eyes to avoid that dryness. And you may also feel suddenly your skin is getting dried because of all these reasons. So you may want to now start applying a little more of moisturizers, right? Because you want to hydrate your skin. And the other way to keep hydrating yourself is by drinking a lot of water. And this is one thing that you will see in Canada, that everybody is carrying their own water bottle. So if you start working in the Canadian workplace, then you will notice this, that everybody brings their water bottle to the meeting, not because they want to keep them hydrated, but there is also a reason that, to be more environment friendly, that you don't use more of disposable cups. So you use your own water bottle, and keep sipping the water, so that it keeps your body hydrating, and it is also healthy to have good amount of water. We all know that we need to drink enough water to keep our body safe. So you'll notice this at workplaces or in colleges, that everybody is carrying their own water bottle, and sipping water in as they speak or as they talk, small sips of water. And you'll also notice that the people drink a lot of coffee. Yeah, you'll see a lot of Tim Hortons. You might have already found a Tim Hortons at every corner of the road, because people drink a lot of coffee. And I am a coffee lover, but I never had a tall a coffee bought from at Starbucks or Tim Hortons, because although a coffee lover, I only drink coffee about 2 or 3 times a day in small cups. But the people here drink a lot of coffee, because they bring coffee, and they make sure that they drink it for longer hours in the day. So it's not just like that, no, they finish 1 cup of coffee, they drink that coffee. If they start in the morning, I saw few people drinking it all through in the afternoon, right? No, people like cold coffees as well. I personally don't. I need it hot. you know so we spoke about standing desks. Now, if you are employed in an environment which provides economically friendly infrastructure, then you are really good. So make use of that standing desk. I really loved it, but I couldn't afford one personally at my home. And healthy snacking. Yeah, so snacks is something we all love, and we all need. As the day progresses, we might be falling short of our energy as we move towards the end of our day. So we want to keep our energy back, because there might be an important coming towards the end of the day, and you don't want to feel sluggish. Or if you are presenting in that meeting, you don't want to feel sluggish, but you want to keep that energy, and speak more confidently, and appear that you are more professional. So it is also important to have that healthy snacks that you carry along with you wherever you go. And there are a lot of other possibilities that you can buy snacks on the go, but if you want to be healthy, probably you may have to pick and choose what you want to eat, and then carry them along with you, even to work or to your college, and have a quick bite whenever you get time. And the fifth one that we already spoke is staying hydrated. So the 5 micro habits that builds the physical activeness in you, so which will be helpful to make you poised for success, is, let's revise them. Scheduling daily walks, regular standing, and third is making use of any standing desks, and fourth is having healthy snacks, and fifth is the staying hydrated. So you start practicing. These are not big things that you need to wait for 10 days or 15 days to start, you can start them right away, which means the moment you stop this podcast, you can go and have a sip of water, right? Or if your weather permits and if you want to, you can take a brief walk, right? So let's all practice these small micro habits and stay physically fit, which is one of the most important factors for all of us to become successful, not just in a Canadian environment, but everywhere we go and to whatever level we reach to. Then let's continue with our second micro habit, staying mentally alert. Mental alertness is something that is very important in terms of making decisions. It will impact our decision making ability. You don't have to be in a leadership role to make decisions. As individuals, we all make several decisions right from the time we wake up, or the conscious decision that we make. Like you might have already decided to drink more water from what we discussed from staying physically fit. So mental alertness also at times will impact not just our decision making, but will also help us stay active. And you might have felt a little foggy, and you have lost your ability to make a good decisions because and the reason one of the reasons for that could be your mental alertness. I'm not saying you're not mentally alert, but as you improve being staying mentally alert, it'll help you in improving your overall personality. So one of the downsides of having low mental alertness could be like you may have communication breakdown, so you may not be able to communicate as effectively as you should. And like I said, it could lead to some inefficient problem solving. So which is problem solving could be one of the key competencies that all of us might have in a work environment, because we are surrounded with a lot of problems. When I say problems, they could be because it would be some of the challenges that we might see as also coming from disruptions that are happening elsewhere, mostly in technology, right? So as we solve some problems for our company or for our project, so uh, ha- having low mental alertness might lead to some inefficiencies in that problem solving, which might make you and which might other people in your team might see you as less efficient in problem solving, which could lead to become unsuccessful rather than being more successful. And like I said, it might also cause lead to poor decision making. It will also impact your decision making at work, either as an individual or as someone who's managing a group of individuals. And the most important drawback of having low mental alertness could be the difficulty in adaptation. So when I say difficulty in adaptation, so imagine you might have traveled across the world to reach Canada, and today you're landed in a new job and you're trying to adjust to different time zones, right? And you might be feeling some stress of settling in because you are new to a new environment, maybe to a new time zone. For example, when I came into Canada, Eastern time zone is new to me, and not just in where I live. Let's say on so some time back, I had to travel to the western part of Canada as part of my job, which is 3 hours behind the regular time that I live in. So you might have the difficulty in adjusting to these time zones as you travel across Canada, because Canada has about 5 different time zones. And on work, if you travel to any other different time zone, or you may have to wake up early to attend a meeting with the people who are living in a different time zone. So this you may have these difficulties in adjusting to these time zones because of and the reasons why you might feel sluggish could be due to lack of sleep and stress of moving, and if you are not mentally sharp as you usually are because of these things. No? As a result, during a meeting, you may misunderstand an important task assignment, which might lead to a cascading issues. Right now, the solution you propose may not doesn't solve the problem, but your decision making is off, and it might keep you hard to keep up with uh, the the fast-paced work environment. So that now if you go back and see most of the job postings, they say that you should have experience working in fast-paced environment. So if you want to get adjusted to such environments, because most of these environments are defined as fast paced, and they want people to cope up with that environment. The mental alertness is really really important, and not having all these might also lead to decrease in your productivity. So they might, so your employer or the business partner might see you as less productive resource than the highly productive resource. So how do we deal with uh, improving our mental alertness is by again developing micro habits, and I always try to keep it to these five simple micro habits. I don't want to over whelm you by telling you a lot of things that you can do, but let's keep simple to the five of them. So one is to have the focused work breaks. Like I said, my focus of attention is only about 90 minutes. Even in that 90 minutes, my interest may not be as high as the first 10 minutes. The last 10 minutes of 90 may not be as effective as the first 10. So what I do is, whenever, instead of making myself a rule to have a break every 90 minutes, whenever I feel to like to have a break, even during a meeting. So suppose if you are not able to concentrate and you need a short break, take a walk to a wash take a walk to washroom and come back. So that will rejuvenate your body, and then it helps you think fast, and help the team in directing towards a common point, or put your point across as you solve the problem together. Like we discussed last time, teamwork is everything, right? And then the other thing that keeps you mentally alert is learning about different cultures. Like I call it cultural learning. So you have a lot of opportunities to learn about. You may not want to master all cultures, but 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 whatever you like, probably you want to spend a little more time, or show some interest in learning about new culture. Could be about your new work environment, or maybe about something new about a new employee on your team, or in the team next to you, or maybe you want to learn something about a new thing from your neighbor who might have come from a different part of the world. So take these opportunities to stay mentally alert, which will help you. The knowledge is power, right? So, and the third one is mindfulness. Now mindfulness is about, there are so many mindfulness techniques, but the simple ones are having the breathing exercises, focusing on one object, and breathe in, breathe out. You can do this while you are in the bus, you can do this while you are in the train, you can do this a few minutes just before the meeting that you are attending, important meeting that you are attending, either virtually or in person. You take those deep breaths, and build that mental alertness. Let the oxygen go to every part of your body, especially to your mind, calm your nerves, and help you focus, right? And other thing that you can show that you are alert in any discussion is staying being an active listener. You might have heard this from several people, that active listening is not selective listening. Active listening is what listening to the people whom you are talking to, either in a meeting or in a conversation. And how do you show that you are listening to them is by paraphrasing or debriefing what you have just discussed. So that is one of the greatest skills that every individual should have if you are aiming to become more successful. So because most of the time these days, all of us spend in meetings than working at a computer individually, and delivering certain tasks. So we are interacting with people, and people respect the fact that when you listen to them, when you hear them. So how do you showcase? By how do you show that you have great active listening skills or good active listening skills? By paraphrasing what the conversation is all about, and then asking right questions, leading the conversation with your questions, and then uh, sharing your ideas. That's how you can build your active listening. So practice it. So that will bring more mental alertness. So for you to be a good active listener, you should be mentally alert, because you need to hear what others are saying and try to get to their point of view as quickly as possible, and then you put your point of view across so the other people would appreciate it. And the last one is, like I said, regular breaks. Like I take a break whenever I feel like, because I work in a creative environment. Let's say being in an HR, I might be working on a policy, defining a new policy, and it requires a lot of thinking from different perspectives. So we make a policy that is all inclusive of many people or many cultures, and it is diverse and reflective of different workforce groups. So although I might have a timeline of doing it, my brain may not support me in focusing on the task for longer hours. So I need to take shorter breaks to make sure that I generate ideas. And one of the ways that my body generate ideas is when I have those brief walks. So now I'm combining my physical activity with my mental alertness. Now if I want to have a good idea to come out of my brain, the best thing that I prefer to do is take a short walk, either in my home or take a walk outside, enjoy the nature. So that will bring a lot of sophisticated thinking in me, and I can quickly bring. Ideally, I cannot do that when I'm in a meeting in a boardroom. I can't take a walk and come and present the idea. But for me to become more effective in a boardroom, I need to practice these micro habits on a daily basis to stay mentally alert. So to summarize, how do we keep ourselves mentally alert is by focusing on small work blocks. So again, I just want to add one point here, because you might have heard about Pomodoro. So I use that Pomodoro technique. If I want to work on something focusedly, I use that Pomodoro technique maybe for 15 minutes or 30 minutes, only focusing on one task that I am doing. So which will help me stay on the task, be effective on what I'm doing, and deliver the best out of me. So the first one is focusing on work habits, work breaks, I would say. Second one is cultural learning, to understand about people and their cultures, including the work culture or any other culture around you. The third one is the mindfulness breaks. And the fourth one is being an active listener in any conversation. And lastly, taking those regular breaks. So start practicing these to enhance your mental alertness, which will definitely boost your problem solving ability in your, not just in your work, maybe in your studies or other parts of your life. Let's continue with the third one a little while later. Thank you. Hey, it's time for us to talk about the third micro habit, intellectual sharpness. Now, intellectual sharpness is all about engaging in continuous learning and connect with your professional communities. Now, it is like embracing the diverse culture, diverse experiences, and offer to enrich your life. Language practice. So when I say language practice, I'm not talking about learning a new language like French, Spanish, or something else, which is that you see in Canada. And Canada, in most places, of late, it is increasing that people are asking for some bilingualism, which means that the language that I'm talking is not about learning a new language as in total, but it's more about the language that is relevant to your industry, the language that is relevant to that is industry specific, reviewing some industry specific materials is a micro habit that can significantly sharpen your intellectual activity, because the more you are knowledgeable about the industry terms, how they are used here in Canada, versus how you have used in the past at the place where you come from, could be different. you know so the term may be same, but the way they use it here could be different. So it is important for anybody in any industry to be aware of how the industry specific terms are used as a language here in Canada at any workplace. Now that will help you become more effective, and not just by increasing your individual effectiveness, but this intellectual sharpness will also enhance the team effectiveness, and not having that sharpness may impact the team effectiveness and then the overall effectiveness of the organization. So we don't want to be somebody who is being ineffective in the whole team. So if you want to be more effective, I would still recommend all of us, including myself, to learn how the industry terms are used in different work environments. No, there could be many vocabulary that is used across different industries. So if for example, if I'm in HR, so probably I want to learn how the different HR terms are used in Canada, which are different from the same terms used from the place where I come from. So you may want to have that match and then talk that language when you're talking to people from your own industry so they understand what you are referring to. And similarly, you'll be able to understand what they are saying when they use industry terms that are pertinent or more importantly used in Canadian environment. This not only keeps you updated of the latest trends and treatments, but also improves your understanding of the terminology and become fluent in your industry, so which makes communication with your colleagues and anybody more effective. So regardless of whether you are in IT or finance or in education, regularly engaging with this language in your field can help you stay sharp and communicate more effectively in your workplace. Drawbacks of being intellectual dullness is one is on missed opportunities. So probably if you are not showing that you are staying up to date with the industry trends, probably you might miss on your next promotional opportunity, or you might miss on being on an exciting project. So because other team members or your manager may not be seeing you staying up to date with industry trends. So don't miss on those opportunities. And like like the other two areas, the intellectual dullness might also impact your decision making skills because you are not informed about a latest change now. AI is everywhere now. So suppose if you're not understanding what AI can do in your industry or in your field, probably you might be missing on an intellectual discussion that is happening within your team on a particular project, or if there is a requirement for somebody to be part on an interesting project that is related to AI, you might miss on that opportunity. And you don't want to miss that. And to show that you are up to date. So practice talking in the industry language, or try to be more, improve your intellectual sharpness and show that in your workplace, either at your college or at your workplace. No, being the intellectual dullness can also hinder the adaptability and responsiveness to your challenges. Now, like I said, in this example, so suppose if, as an HR, if my team is adapting an AI technology to screen the applications for the jobs that we receive, and if I'm not aware of what kind of practices that industry is following, probably I might miss out on an opportunity, and I might be I may not be effectively talking in such discussions and being less responsive to any challenges that the project or the company is talking about. So which means that they might see that my quality of participation might be decreasing. So which is a decreased quality, or quality conversations, or I might myself present myself as incompetent to be part of an intellectual conversation, among other things that I've been noticed for. So we don't want that. We don't want to stay back, by portraying that we are not interested in that topic, or we can't speak more confidently because we are not aware of it. So let's improve our intellectual sharpness. And intellectual dullness would also reduce your ability to collaborate with others for all these reasons, right? Because you don't have enough knowledge, you don't have enough confidence to talk about this topic, you don't have uh, uh, update on latest industry trends, how it can solve the problem that your team is trying to solve. It might lead to, it might portray that you are not collaborative in the team by participating in giving some good ideas, or understanding what the conversation is all about. Now, I had this challenge in my very first job when I had to sit in some fireside chats and not aware what's happening there. And I took little extra time in understanding what was happening there, because it is all technical, but it is also important for me to understand as a HR guy what the project is all about, how are they trying to solve, and what kind of skill sets that the projects might be looking at as they progress. Although my objective was to understand all this, because it was all going over my head, I was little effective at the beginning, but then I had to improve my intellectual sharpness to understand what the technical terms they are talking about, and how these technical terms are useful for me in framing a new job description as we try to hire maybe somebody who is good at Python, so somebody who is really good at Tableau, etc. All these technologies. So it's not just really about your own industry, it is also important to develop that intellectual sharpness, cross functional intellectual sharpness, so you are not left alone, and you still want to show that you are collaborative with your team, you can present your ideas well, and then you can also be part of the team uh, without having any influences. And now it's the time for us to see what are the 5 micro habits that we can develop to become more sharp intellectually. So I so like I said at the very in the very first job, now I had the difficulty of coping up with understanding the technical terms, which are important for me to be big effective at my own job. So I scheduled some learning time. So which means that out of the 24 hours that I have made sure that I have some time that is set to learn the terms that are used in that company, not in the whole industry, which is very difficult for any one of us to learn, but what terms that are more frequently used in that company, by referring to the glossary of terms that is available there, or making going on internet to find how do I understand what kind of technical competencies or technical skills that people in the fireside chats are talking about. And so how did I increase my intellectual sharpness? By scheduling learning time, and then also engaging with professional communities. So me being an HR professional now, today I am part of several HR communities, either on LinkedIn or any other associations like HRPA. And I also, these days I also participate in 2 networking events every other Thursday, where senior people from HR would come and discuss on a specific topic. So these are all opportunities for me to understand and stay updated with what's happening in the world, in the HR world specifically, and how the other industries are influencing HR as a function, and what are those things that we need to understand as HR professionals. And so all this information would help me in being effective at my meetings and at my work, and bring some of those ideas and discuss them more confidently, showing that I have intellectual sharpness, and I stay abreast with uh, the where the industry is moving, how the trends are changing. Like I said, the third one is language practice. Language practice is about the use of vocabulary that is more commonly used in your own industry, and the use of vocabulary that is most commonly used in your own company across different functions, so everybody would understand them. And the fourth one is the practice sessions. Now the practice session is all about, it's not just about scheduling time and learning new things, it's about applying the new learning. So the best way of showcasing that you learn something and you are a quick learner is by applying that learning and in every opportunity that you get. So like I was using all my knowledge gathered from different conversations on different platforms. I apply this knowledge in my work to showcase that I am participating in events, I am contributing to the industry, and I'm also learning from them, and I can apply that learning in the company for its own benefit. And lastly, the fifth micro habit that I would recommend as part of enhancing your intellectual sharpness is cultural immersion. So you see me talking about this culture in almost in every habit, because that is what we'll have to develop to become more successful in a new environment like Canada, right? And because we are all working with diverse cultures. So attending industry events and workshops, especially for hands-on learning on how the culture is playing a role in enhancing your workplace, or how culture is playing a role in driving the problem solving. So how the diverse people, diverse thoughts are driving the problem solving ability in the organization. So that is all about cultural immersion. So how people from different diverse backgrounds are thinking about a particular problem, and how the problem is being solved in work environment is your intellectual sharpness on immersing yourself into a new culture. So how can you do that? By actively attending the industry events and then workshops. Not just events, you can also see some workshops. Most of them are free these days, as you can find them on LinkedIn, or you can find them on, you'll see a lot of ads on Instagram these days. Go take time, attend these free webinars and free workshops, and find something new, or learn some. If you're learning something new, you come back and apply at your place, either at your work or at your study, and show that you are not left alone, but you are enhancing your intellectual sharpness. Let's move on to the fourth one: staying emotionally well balanced. Now let's talk about the fourth factor, which is critical, but which is often overlooked. I say this factor is critical because this factor has an ability to create a self doubt in every one of us. The factor that I'm talking is called emotional well-being. In other words, it's also called emotional resilience, and this emotional resilience works so importantly at workplaces. Now, as newcomers, we'll all have apprehensions because we are in a new environment, and we'll have a little discomfort as you are among a completely new set of people. So it is pretty common, but this is manageable by building the right strategies to enhance your improvement. I said something about self doubt. Why I say that is, it reflects my time when I came into this country a few years ago. So where I had a little struggle in terms of adapting to the new work culture, even adapting to a completely new language. Sometimes different communication styles. The communication styles will change for definitely change will change from the place where you came from, and of course, because you are in a completely new environment, the work culture will also change. The change in work culture will not necessarily be the change in the demographics or the geography, and you will observe this change in work culture even if you move from one company to the other company. So which means that building this emotional resilience will not only help you settle down in a new country, but it will also help you thrive in a new job that you are getting into as you progress in your career. So that is why I say this factor is critical, but it is often overlooked. So we are talking about adjusting to a new work culture, different language, communication styles, and even perhaps a different language. The reason I say language is, although we are speaking English in many terms, the kind of vocabulary, the articulation, and the accent, all could be something different, because here we see people from different cultures, and the accent that each one of them speak will be diverse. So therefore, sometimes as you come across different people, understanding their accent could be a challenge. So that's why I say perhaps the challenge could also be even with different languages. So initially, I had these hiccups, or I have these challenges, and it made me feel overwhelmed by these changes, and which led to stress, and of course decreased productivity. So when my productivity decreased, that's when I went into the self doubt that, am I the same effective person that I was uh, uh, at the place where I came from? So did I make the right choice of getting into an environment like this to uh, become less productive than what I personally was? Yeah, to like I said, these apprehensions can be overcome by building a manageable. They become manageable with right strategies. So now, since I talked about my experience, let me tell you what are the micro habits that I developed around building the emotional resilience is I started by reflecting my daily actions, which I call daily self reflection. So, which means I advise you to take some time, maybe at the end of the day, to reflect on what your interactions were, who did you interact with, what the interactions were, how did they go, and how did you interact with your customers, or how did you interact with your colleagues, what were your interactions with your neighbors or someone whom you met outside or elsewhere. So reflect on different interactions you had throughout the day, and that will help you understand what went well and what you should improve the next day. And trust me, developing this habit will definitely enhance your emotional intelligence to become more productive, not just at work, with every place and every person that you're interacting. The second one is this is time tested habit, which is task prioritization. And you might have heard this million times in your life that it is so important to be a morning person. So, although I have heard this several times, even I try to become a morning person to wake up as early as I can. It is Off late I realize I am not a morning person, but I don't wake up too late as well. But it doesn't matter how you adjust your lifestyle, because it's different for all of us. The important habit that all of us have to develop is about prioritizing our tasks for the day. So start by defining the most critical tasks. So this is where the time management techniques of identifying what is urgent, what is important, what is urgent, what is not important, what is not urgent, but still it is important, and what is not urgent, what is not important. So the four grid factor, the matrix, you can adopt that, or you can just do it by yourself, saying, okay, this task is important for me, but it is not urgent, so it can wait. Or although it is not urgent but it is important, but it cannot wait to take the priority. So do the task prioritization, and which will ensure that the practice of doing this task prioritization will definitely help you become effective at your work and your studies, and building interpersonal relationship with others, because by practicing this you will get to know what are the tasks that need your immediate attention, and what are the tasks that you can wait for your response. I'll give you an example. So when I was working, my as and when I logged in early in the morning, I had my outbox filled with hundreds of emails. Now not I may not be responding to all these 100 emails, but the practice of prioritizing tasks in understanding what is the important one that I need to respond first, and what are the other ones that can wait to the later part of the day, or maybe they can spill into the next day, really helped me become more effective, and not just being personally effective, but it also helped me prioritize the team activities, and demonstrate my teamwork ability in a work environment. So that's why I recommend practice task prioritization at the beginning of the day, and reflect on how your day went by doing a daily self reflection at the end of the day. Maybe you can do that a few minutes before you go to bed, or whenever you feel you're comfortable with. And the third micro habit that you can develop within this building emotional resilience factor is building healthy boundaries. Now, what do I mean by building healthy boundaries? It is your responsibility to draw that thin line between what are your work hours and what are your personal hours. What are off work hours? What are work hours? So when you have this differentiation, try to give your best at during your work hours. So that shows that you are effective at your job, you are effective at the work that you are doing, and then having the thin line drawn, so you also becoming effective your own doing your own personal things in your personal life, maybe giving quality time to your family, or spending quality time for your own self development. Maybe somebody want to go and spend some time in becoming more healthy person by joining a gym, or doing some healthy tasks or thing. So take the time. So draw that line between when do you stop work, what is your personal time, what is your work time, and then uh, draw that healthy boundary. For example, I practice this by telling myself that I don't have to look at the phone, get engaged with any Instagram reels or anything after 7 o'clock in the evening, so I can spend quality time with my kids, uh, fill, build that family bonding, and and playing with my kids could be one of my stress relievers. So that's how drawing that healthy boundary, not to think about work, or not to log into your system and do something unless it is very urgent, takes more priority than anything else at that moment. I always try to keep my time in the evening for my kids, take them for swimming classes, take them for skating classes, spend some time in one or the other way with them. So that way, whatever the stress I have built at work during the day gets relieved by the time I go to bed. So it helps me do and self reflection on, have I done everything that I expected to do today? Have I done everything that I have prioritized to do today? And that brings a kind of satisfaction to go to bed with a lot of satisfaction of completing. There could be some days where I might not have achieved everything that I planned for that day, or I might have achieved some, or I might have achieved everything. So every day is different, no? That's common. And the fourth micro habit that you can develop within this is, like I said, even in the last habit, active listening. Now, active listening is so important because Canada is a culture where they encourage conversational type of communication. It's not just one way of somebody giving you guidance on, or guide you on what to do or how to do. It's about conversational. So you have to engage in conversations. Like, if you reflect back, I was talking about small talks that will help you get into the conversation with different people in the Canadian culture. Practice the small talks, and be an active listener during that small talk, so that will help you build an interpersonal relationship with the other person, that you're actively and attentively listening to what they are saying. And how you can demonstrate your active listening is by asking right questions, or acknowledging the facts that they are talking about, and show that you are listening to them, and that will help build that interpersonal relationships, not at work, but it can also build a good interpersonal relationship with your neighbor, with somebody in your community, or some stranger that you meet at your gym, or your health fitness center, or maybe when you're taking a walk in the park. It helps everywhere. So practice active listening, so that builds trust. Active The other important factors of being an active listener is that it builds rapport and it builds trust very quickly, so which will lead to more effective, and being an active listener at work will definitely build an effective and harmonious workplace and harmonious relationships at workplace as well. And last, the fifth micro habit that you can work around with this factor is learning about the language. We discussed this in our last habit as well. Spend some time each day learning about your profession. So, learning something new about your vocabulary within your profession or your field, and which will help in communicating with your peers or your customers or your stakeholders more effectively, showcasing that you are more knowledgeable about what's happening in the industry, and the use of right language will help you build your customers trust quicker than sooner than later. And that's how it'll label you as an effective communicator, which is very important in Canadian workplace, to be a conversationalist than being someone who takes the discussions on one sided. So integrating these habits will not only make you a value team member, but will also make you a favorite amongst the other team members or your customers, and for being so attentive and effective in providing great service to your customers. So customer is in general context is very widely used word, but when you talk about customers, they can be your team members, they can be your neighbors, they can be somebody who you are interacting with. A customer can be your manager, your direct manager. So more than customer, I would say with the other person whom you are interacting with. So it will help you build that harmonious relationships with them, which is important. The building relationships is important in a new environment for somebody to thrive in a new environment like Canada, especially when you are in a work environment, either at college or a professional work environment, or being on your own. Building that relationship or showing that your interpersonal relationships and your ability to communicate as a conversationalist is really important, and practicing these micro habits will definitely help you find a new rhythm in a new country, and it will help you understand the culture and finding your place in it. Now, here is the fifth micro habit we are talking as part of this micro habit series is the spiritual elevation or spiritually elevated is what I say, or spiritual elevation or the spiritual connection. The spiritual connection that I speak is not about the spiritual connection with being at your temples or the places where you worship, which are also a means of building that connection, because those are the places where you get connected with your community. So we'll speak about it a little later. But when I say spiritual elevation or being spiritually connected, is all I'm talking about is the willpower that you build for yourself, having that inner self discipline to become successful. So I'll take my own example. So when after we came here into Canada with the family, so the things weren't so easy for me. So I that led to a kind of depression, and when I reflect back on the success that I had back home, I always wanted to go back because things were not so easy, or they were not working the way I wished they worked for me. So I wanted to go back, but my wife stood as a willpower for me, and she instilled willpower in me to stay grounded in this new environment, and look for different ways, and try hard to become more successful. So uh, what so therefore, so if you it is pretty common when you are in a new place and when you are among the new group of people, if things doesn't go the way that you planned for, it might lead to a kind of depression, or it might lead to some kind of you know like I said, it might create a self-doubt in one, and then you might even think of going back and being in your comfort zone. So like we already broke the comfort zone and came all this far, and I keep telling myself that we came this far not to fail, but we came this far to excel, we came this far to thrive in this new environment. So that is the spiritual elevation I'm talking about, or having that spiritual connection that I want to talk about here. So it's like I did talked about my own example. So now I also incorporated a few micro habits around this in building self confidence within me, building that willpower within me, and working inside out. Telling myself inside and working that out. I started by developing these five micro habits around the spiritual elevation. To begin with is the community engagement. The community engagement, I joined the local HR meetup groups where I can connect with different people and share my interests, and learn from others, and see how this industry is doing in Canada, how my skills or how my qualifications will fit well, and what kind of adjustment I should make for myself in order to get that traction as I progress in achieving my dreams, is is through the community engagement. So when I say community engagement, a little while ago we were talking about the spiritual communities. Yeah, these are one of the good places where you meet people from your own communities, or like temples or other places of worship. You just meet people from your own community. So some of them could be from the place where you have come from, or some you might meet different people who come from your own community, or who are closer to your community, and That's one place where you build your network. You get to know different people from different backgrounds, and that can lead to new avenues. Now, likewise, being part of a professional community, like I'm HR and I'm part of several HR communities now, that helped me meet different people and understand how HR as a function works within Canada, and what kind, how I integrate my skills and my expertise into this new environment, so I can be a better contributor to my own community. A professional community is through professional engagement. And second one, the second micro habit, which is really essential, is about relationship building. So try to have lunch with a different colleague. COVID is something that has put us back, in the back burner, where we had to live the new life with virtual coffee chats instead of meeting somebody at a local Tim Hortons or Starbucks. But now things are coming back to the old style of having these personal interactions, meeting in person, because every one of us are fed with being so virtual, so which is not actually real. So whenever I get an opportunity, I try to meet people in person, have a coffee chat with them, exchange ideas, and understand their perspectives, and present what my ideas are, and then exchange information and expertise with different people, learn from their lives, learn from their work experiences, see what's happening in their environment, and try to learn something new. And it's not just about learning something new. The success is always in how do you apply them in your own situations. So try to apply what you're learning from these relationship building activities, and these bonds really help feel be part of a team, or be part of a community, and it will definitely increase the satisfaction. So when I say satisfaction, end of the day, we all need to be satisfied for the decisions we made right now. Since we already made a decision to come into a new environment like this, it is important for us to find different ways what keeps us happy at the end of the day for making that decision. That is all about spiritual elevation, or having that spiritual connect. Cultural exploration is the third habit that I've built. Now this is about attending cultural festivals, like we were talking about, being at the place of worships, visiting. Me being a Hindu, I keep visiting temples, or any other cultural programs that happen around the place that I live in, or where I can go, drive and be accessible to. I started participating in those communities. No, 2 years ago, I started playing cricket with one group here in the place where I live, that has built some relations, and helped me connect with different people around different parts from different backgrounds. Likewise, participating in attending cultural festivals, and try some new food that events have to offer from different Canadian regions. Not just about my own, the cultural events from my own religion, but take opportunity to be part of the cultural events that happen. For example, the biggest cultural change that we had as a family is celebrating Christmas. Now, we never had a Christmas tree in our home until we came into Canada, and our kids want to have a Christmas tree at home. So now we made that as a practice. Every year we have a Christmas tree. Likewise, take the kids out for the Halloween. So go help them collect the Halloween tricks and treats. So you get to know the people in your own community who all you don't have opportunity to meet on a daily basis. You'll see new faces, new people, celebrate new cultures, be part of that cultural celebrations. Explore the culture around you. Sorry, explore the culture around you. This exploration makes appreciate the diversity of your neighborhood, and exploring this culture at work will also help you appreciate the diversity in your own team, right? So and your team, your new home, your neighborhood, everywhere. So this will enrich your life, and leads to build some conversational topics that you can have the small talks with your peers, with your colleagues, or somebody who you meet as you travel to your office. So the small talk that we touched some time back, This cultural exploration is the best means to engage in those small talks, because as so for example, if you're talking to someone who is local, or who's your colleague in your office, initially I had this problem because I was completely clueless what they are talking about, because they're talking about the local festivals, they're talking about some local gatherings that they developed as a kid, since they have seen as kids. So if you are not aware of those things, then you might be left alone in the conversation, and that will affect your interpersonal relationship at work. So it is important to explore the local culture here, and be part of the conversations that are happening during the lunch tables, or the small talks, or at any opportunity, right? Because remember that since we came all this far, we may not be ending up working with our own community people, but we are working with a diverse culture of community. So which means, like we talk about our own culture, other people also will talk about their own culture. So if you're not understanding what that is, then you might feel you're left alone in the conversation. So we want to get into the conversation and be a conversationalist, and be an active and you can develop that by using your active listening skills. But at the same time, it is important for you to explore the culture as well. And last one, you might have heard this micro habit from various sources. Canada is all about volunteering. So volunteering is one activity which will help you build immaculate relationships. Trust me. You can volunteer your extra time within your professional space, or you can volunteer within your cultural engagements, or you can volunteer in any other form. The reason why Canada talks about volunteering is that is one source of understanding the culture of this environment, working with the people. You'll get to know how to work with people, how people work here. Culture is all about how the things are done, right? So volunteering is one a biggest source which will help you understand those aspects, and be prepared for to excel in a work environment. So take the opportunities to volunteer in your local community, or take the opportunities to volunteer within your professional community, but look for volunteering opportunities if you have spare time. Or if not, I would recommend make that spare time to build that relationships in this new environment. And lastly, you can also, like I said, Canada is beautiful with its landscape. It is so beautiful in its nature. Have that connection with that nature. Off late, as a family, we started getting out every weekend, and enjoy some nature. But there could be some exceptions in winters because of the bad weather conditions, where weather is could be too windy, too chilly, and we don't want to take that chance with small kids at home. So with that few exceptions, but I would say the last few summers, we took every opportunity, every weekend. We took the opportunity to go and explore nature, either in forms of beaches, or a small treks, or any other nature forms. We made these connections within our community. We made some closed groups, part of small groups as family. And the last few years, we had a good gathering with a couple of families, with like-minded families, on having some summer camps, and being in the, what you call, go on small treks, and yeah, so something like this, which is pretty new to us. We didn't had the opportunity of exploring these new activities back home. So we took that opportunity when we had uh, the connections, or when we established that relationship with some like-minded people in our community, within our local community or cultural backgrounds. So that really helped. Be part of the nature, and that connection with nature will rejuvenate. It rejuvenated me, and of course my family. So I've started to have this refreshing events every weekend during the summer, because that's the best part, that you can really enjoy Canada. Few people also enjoy winters. few people like snow. I like snow, but I can't do all of it on my own. And my family, everyone in my family aren't ready, so we can do it as a family engagement, like snowboarding. I like to do snowboarding, but I can't do go and do on all by myself while my family is at home. So I'm waiting for opportunity for my kids to grow and start enjoying the local sports like snowboarding or ice skating. Or by the way, I started learning ice skating, and last year I learned the roller skating. These are few things that I never had an opportunity to try by myself uh, back home where I come from. So engaging with nature or doing something new that you never had the opportunity to do in so far in your life is something that will rejuvenate you and will help you find the purpose for yourself and listen to your inner voice and get connected with the community and build that spiritual connection and have that spiritual elevation in you. So a spiritual connection can definitely enhance your work contributions, and these activities can also bring a lot of fulfillment, much like exploring the Canada's natural beauty and of course the diverse communities that I was talking to you. So to wrap up, in this series we spoke about five areas in which we can build a few micro habits. I started with being physically fit or empowering your day with fitness micro habits. Developing micro habits to be fit or physically fit will enhance your productivity, and it'll help you stay productive throughout your day. And we progressed with talking about intellectual sharpness, the second one. The intellectual sharpness or building that mental edge or boosting that your mental edge will lead to enhanced problem solving skills. So you will be recognized as a good problem solver at your workplace, or maybe in your studies, or you will enhance problem solving in your own personal life as you practice the micro habits in enhancing or boosting your mental edge. The third one that we talked about is about sharpening your mind, which is by becoming intellectually sharp. Now, intellectual sharpness or enhancing intellectual sharpness will foster innovation and portray that you are an expert in your field. So, which is really important in the competitive world today, to present yourself as one of the best guys who understands how the industry is moving, what industry is doing, and innovation is something that everybody is looking in their resources. So therefore, to boost that innovation, it is important to enhance your intellectual sharpness and developing the micro habits or practicing micro habits within this factor would really help you stay as an innovator and boost your foster your innovation skills and then portray you as an expert in your own field. The fourth one that we talked about is the emotional resilience or building that interpersonal harmony. So it will enhance you as a team player within an effective team, and it will also enhance your interpersonal relationships, and it will enhance your interactions with other people. So ideally it is customer interactions, but I don't like saying customers because you don't only interact with customers, but you interact with other people. So therefore, developing or again practicing micro habits within uh, this interpersonal heart to develop interpersonal harmony will definitely enhance or make you a good team player within a team of high performing teams, or as you progress into your leadership roles, this emotional resilience will help you lead high performing teams more effectively, and definitely it will help you interact with people better. And lastly, we wrapped up with talking about having that spiritual elevation or having that spiritual connections will enhance job satisfaction. Not just job satisfaction, to enhance the satisfaction levels as a person. So, which is at the end of everything, after putting all these efforts in becoming successful, what makes us more successful is the more satisfied you feel. So having the micro habits built around the spiritual elevation would lead to enhanced satisfaction, especially in job or any other work that you do, and of course it will boost your performance. So eh, when these five factors are taken care, and when you build the micro habits around these five factors, so enhancing each of these key competencies that are critical to anyone to become successful is what all about this series. So have have a good day. Start practicing, start with your micro habits in whichever the factor that you're comfortable to begin with, but make this habit a habit. So practicing this micro habit should be a habit. So make that your habit. Start practicing the micro habits, and start improving on each of these factor, and have a successful career ahead. Thank you. See you in the next series.